name is Daniel, and this is the Engineering Success Podcast, episode 69. Nice. Hope you guys are doing well today on this beautiful day. I'm recording this on Saturday, November 23rd. So, for those of you that are listening to this when it inevitably comes out in December, look at me. I'm on a roll. I've recorded 2 episodes, 2 weekends in a row. We're trying to get it back on schedule, people. We're trying. I am finally kind of getting into a workflow at work. But before I give you an update on my life, I have to give a huge shout out to a couple people that mean a lot to me. Shout out to John Ott and Leroy Jenkins. Thank you both so much for your support of the podcast. Your continued support has been so instrumental in me being able to afford to keep the lights on here. I just paid my domain bill and my email bill. My website is www.engringsuccess.com, where you can email me at daniel@engringsuccess.com if you want to be a guest on the podcast, if you have a question, if you just want to talk to me or try to sell me something. I have enough people in there selling to me anyways, so you can come and join those people in trying to sell me things at daniel@engringsuccess.com, or contact me through my website, www.engringsuccess.com. If you leave me a 5-star review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or whatever it is, whatever the Apple product is, it's Apple Podcasts. I will also read it out on the podcast. I haven't gotten any lately, so please do consider giving me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I'd really appreciate that if you had the time to do it. All right, so yeah, life's good here in Charlotte. It's cooling down. Baby E is cute as ever. They're running around like crazy. They say things in context. We'll ask them questions, and the answer to the question is yes. Like, do you want water? And they'll, yes, which is fun. They're learning like 45 words a minute, it feels like. It's just words, words, words. Also, no sleep. Not much sleep, but we're surviving. We're surviving. We're doing our best. Well, yeah, life is good. I can't complain. I'm excited for the holiday season. Hope you guys are enjoying the holiday season as well, and that you are having good experiences in this time of the year. All right, well, that was enough about me. Thanks for checking in on me, listening up on me. Let's get into the podcast. Episode 69. We start every single podcast out with a recurring bit called This Week in LinkedIn Lunatics, where we go and look at the wonderful world of LinkedIn and we find some controversial posts that people have reacted to, and we say, is that a crazy thing to be posted on LinkedIn? And it's named in honor of the r/LinkedIn Lunatics subreddit on reddit.com. All right. Here we go. Next one. We're discriminating based on age. Also, don't ask about compensation. All right, let's see what they're doing. I have a portfolio company. Just closed a Series A round looking for a chief of staff, someone that will be a future entrepreneur and wants a front row seat learning from an impressive CEO. Here are some details. Must be in Utah. Okay, that's normal. Must be an action-first person. Okay, that's okay. Ideally 25 to 34. My personal criteria, not the company's. I want you to learn enough to be an entrepreneur. Interesting. That's interesting how you say not the company's. Maybe that's his out and saying that, hey, they're not discriminating based on age. I'm discriminating based on age. Because he's influencing the company. No. The company is not discriminating based on age. I, posting on behalf of the company, am discriminating based on age. And then don't ask me about compensation. I don't know. It's more about what to learn. I guess it's kind of okay, because maybe he doesn't. No, it's part of his company's. Yeah, no. He is the impressive CEO. He is the impressive CEO for the company. It's his portfolio company. Don't ask him about compensation. I don't know. You mean you run the company and you don't know what you can pay your potential employees? Okay. If you started a company and it failed, this would be a great spot to rebuild your wings. Okay, so we're targeting people that have failed and need to be desperate here and are 25 to 34. or somebody that knows they will be an entrepreneur. Comment if you want to chat. Yeah, this is a little wild. You work for the company. You're the CEO of the company. The company is not discriminating based on age, but you are. Yeah, that's not. I think that the people that enforce that. Hey Siri, who enforces age discrimination in hiring in the United States of America? The U.S. Department of Labor and the Age Discrimination in Employment Act. What is the Age Discrimination in Employment Act? All right. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act forbids age discrimination against people who are 40 or older. It does not protect workers under the age of 30, although some states have laws that protect younger workers from age discrimination. So, then, in this scenario, I'm sorry, if you are 35 to 39, sorry, you don't have anything to gripe about. Also, if you're younger than the age of 25, sorry, you don't have anything to gripe about. But if you're older than 40, then we could definitely send this lovely fellow over to the Department of Labor. I hope that somebody commented in the comment section of his post, hello, discrimination in hiring act. Here you go. Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 on the Lulu scale. This is not, it's just not smart on his part to post something like that so openly, being like, yeah, I'm discriminating based on age. And by the way, I don't know how the financial situation, even though I just closed my Series A funding, I don't know how much money that I have available to pay an employee because I just didn't contemplate that whenever I went for funding. Okay. All right. Next one. This one is, I think this belongs here. Well, we'll see if it belongs here. This is on r/recruiting hell, which I just treat equivalent to LinkedIn Lunatics. The screenshot speaks for itself. Why would I want to attend another interview when I got a job offer and a better one? I've informed him immediately after I got my offer, but I guess he ain't happy. Any more recruiter horror stories? All right, let's read about this recruiter horror story. Dear blank, thank you for the opportunity to interview with blank group. I have received a job offer this afternoon and I will not proceed with the interview. My sincere apologies and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Best blank. Reply. Can you at least still attend the interview? Is the salary higher than what we discussed for blank? I've gone to a lot of trouble to try and acquire you this interview, and this puts me in a difficult position if you pull out of the interview less than 1 hour before the interview. Yeah. Okay, the recruiter on this case is not the LinkedIn lunatic in this behalf. I'd say that the poster is. Okay, here's the deal. First of all, 1 hour's notice to cancel a meeting at work, I move meetings around all the time. Conflicts come up internally. But a job interview where you're having to do interface between people that work for a company and not work for a company, there's a lot of effort that goes into arranging one of those things. So for you to cancel this interview 1 hour before the interview is very unprofessional, I would say. So I would say that this is not a boo-boo on the recruiter at all. This is really on the candidate. Also, let's be really clear here. Now, it sounds like these people had discussed salary. She got this poster. They got a job offer with a salary higher than the salary that was discussed at this company, possibly. They said it was better, so I'm going to assume the salary was better than this other company. Now, we don't know about benefits. We don't know about PTO, leave, like parental leave, 401k matching, bonus programs, incentive compensation. We don't know enough, even though maybe the salary is better, we don't know enough at this stage as the candidate to see which opportunity is actually financially better. Unless this person knows it, but I doubt that they do at this point in time. Also, a job offer is not a job. And Daniel, what do you mean? They gave me a job offer. They even sent me an offer letter. I even signed the offer letter. Okay, but have you started working there yet? I mean, the reality is that it's, especially in the U.S., it's at will employment. I mean, I have heard stories. I have people that I know personally that have gotten job offers, given notice at their current employer, and then their offer, even with an offer letter, got pulled. And then they were in a situation where they stayed with my other employer, and it was kind of awkward, and then they found a new job and they left. But they could have theoretically been in a situation where they gave notice, resigned, and then were unemployed. But also they gave notice, they resigned, so they're also not eligible for unemployment, or at least they'd have to chase this new company to say that they promised them promissory estoppel or whatever, and then try to get unemployment that way, which is an absolute headache. Which is, by the way, what is promissory estoppel? I'm not a lawyer, but promissory estoppel is a contract law that allows somebody to recover damages despite no actual contract when the defendant made a promise that the plaintiff detrimentally relied upon, and the plaintiff's reliance on that promise was reasonable. So you have this promissory estoppel argument if you get screwed like that. But I mean, good luck finding a lawyer with your $0 salary. And I mean, again, it's not, you're just putting yourself in a really bad situation. Why would you not interview with this other company? Why would you take yourself in a situation and limit your options? I get it. You got a job offer so good you accept it right away. Cool. If I were in your situation, I would have handled this differently. You don't have to accept a job offer as soon as you get it. You don't. Especially whenever you have another interview scheduled. It's just very rare that as the candidate that you have the power to dictate your terms. This is a beautiful scenario where you have an offer and you're interviewing with another company where you've discussed salary with them and you're probably close to an offer with them as well. Go to both interviews. Get both job offers. And then when one comes in higher than the other, but maybe you like the company with the lower pay better, say, hey, I got another offer and it is a little bit higher on salary. Or, hey, I'd love to work for your company that's offering a higher salary, but I have another offer where I have access to 4 weeks of PTO, not 3. Would you be able to grant me 4 weeks of PTO? Just being able to have the two offers side by side allows you to understand gives something to negotiate. Allows you to understand what you're worth in the market and gives you something to negotiate with. Also, maybe you've interacted with the recruiter and maybe this company is not your top company, but maybe you go to the interview and you meet the person that would be your manager or the people that are on your team, and you realize, oh my goodness, this is an awesome team. This is an awesome job. I want to go do this job. Then go do it, Just do it. Why would you limit your options, and why would you do it in such an unprofessional manner that you've burned that bridge? You have canceling the job interview less than an hour, unless that recruiter is no longer there and that hiring manager is no longer there. You probably have burned that bridge, because if I was that hiring manager and I saw your name came up, some recruiter pushed it up to me. Oh, that name sounds familiar. Do some digging. I'm gonna search your name in my emails. Oh, that was that one person that canceled the interview 1 hour before. No, we're not going to interview them anymore. Anyway, so in this situation, I think the person that, you're not crazy, but for the object of the show, the lunatic in this case, the person that made a bad decision would be the person that canceled the job interview less than 1 hour before the interview. Sorry, maybe that's not what you wanted to hear, but that's my take. All right. Next one. Again, this one was apparently controversial. In fact, they said it was absurd, was the caption on r/LinkedIn Lunatics. Let's read into it. Dear law student, hint to get hired as an attorney. And I know this is law, but it's applicable to engineering. I interviewed an attorney last week. Great interview. I delayed offering a second interview to see if he would send a post-interview thank you email. He sent the email, I responded, and we're getting together again soon. Post thank you emails are essential. Why should employers invest in interviewing you or hiring you if you don't bother investing time to send a simple thank you? Yeah, this isn't crazy. In fact, I've been coaching my little brother through internship application processes, and he had 5 interviews coming out of a career fair. And he was feeling pretty good about it, and I think that he should have felt pretty good about it. And at this point, I think that he's gotten lost communication with one of the recruiters that he's talking to. And I checked in with him about it. And I was like, "Hey, did you send a follow-up email after the meeting, after the interview?" And he said, "No, they said they'd get back with me within 2 weeks." And here's the deal. It may not be as blatant as this person here saying, I'm not going to email them if they don't email me. But here's the deal. Especially for internships or entry-level attorney jobs or anything like that, something that's competitive, there's probably going to be many candidates that have good interviews, many candidates that have great resumes. So when it comes down to it, the way you make yourself stand out and be the one that they hire is in the margins. So in the margins is being the communicative one, being the one that doesn't drop the emails, being the one that says, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciated it. I really want to go work for your company one day. That may be something that stands out. Also, again, maybe they're busy. They're emailing 100 probably plus engineering intern applicants. Even the best recruiter at sorting through their emails is going to get overwhelmed one day with work. Even the best engineering lead. I mean, they have a day job. They help out with interviews, but they have a day job. It's very easy to forget and let something like that slip. So as the candidate, it behooves you to reach out and ask a question. And Daniel, you say, what does behoove mean? I'm using a lot of words today. I have it set up to share words. So behoove means it's the duty or responsibility just for someone to do something it's incumbent on. It behooves you to reach out to interviewers whenever you are the one that is the candidate. If you want to keep the ball moving, my company, we interviewed a candidate. We met with them months ago. And we said we get back to them. And then just the day-to-day of everyday job slipped. And a month or so in, they sent us an email and said, hey, I'm really getting serious about my job search. I'm starting to interview at other companies. Are we still a candidate? Is this still a thing? And then sure enough, my team, we got our butt in order. We kind of got a little bit more momentum, and now they're going to be on my team. And that's just exhibit 1000 of you being the one that steers the conversation, keeps the conversation going as the candidate, will improve your likelihood of getting hired. That is just reality. This is not a lunatic post. We went 1 for 3 on our lunatic post today. 1 crazy, 2 no, not crazy. That's common sense. And if it's not common sense, then you learned about it today on the Engineering Success podcast. All right. Well, that was a long session. I'm going to take a mental breather and we'll be right back with our college questions. All right, and we are back with the Engineering Success Podcast. Thank you so much for hanging in with us. I appreciate you as we go into our college questions. Questions about pursuing engineering in college. All right, next one. Why is the I was good in high school, but now everyone is better than me a universal experience, and especially for engineering students? And the top comment, you can see it, is because that guy suddenly has to compete with 50 other guys and gals who are also good in high school. And yeah, that is the first answer. And the second thing is that, first of all, I mean, aside from absolute brilliance, which can lead to great engineering GPAs and great engineering grades, my opinion is that your engineering grade is less based on your intellect, which I think in high school you can, as long as you're decently bright, you can kind of skate along through high school. That's not the case for engineering school. It's much, your grades are much more directly proportional to your effort and your willingness to sacrifice and to prioritize your school. The people in my engineering school with the best GPAs, they were all very bright, very intelligent, and I'd say definitely more intelligent than me, and I'll concede that. But the other thing that they had going for them was is that they were so disciplined and dedicated to their studies. They were just they did such a good job of prioritizing their school. They managed their time really well. They often weren't scrambling like I was in the last minutes to do their homework or study for exams late at night. They went to bed at reasonable hours before exams because they had been studying for exams for a long time. That is an indicator of how that's the indicator of how their GPA was so high, not just them being smart. A lot of people are smart. And also, I think that there's a lot of people that some people, there's a type of person that I think that struggles in college for engineering school. It's that one person that answers every question, asks all the question, and dominates the conversation flow in class, especially in smaller classes. I feel like if you're, I mean, especially whenever you go to a big school where you have a big lecture hall and you don't get to kind of have that personal journey through a lesson that you maybe got in high school. Because in high school, I mean, teachers love that that's the students. I mean, some teachers don't like it, but teachers are just wanting their students to be involved and engaged in discussion, and there's probably a smaller crop of students that are willing to do that. So then you're able to keep on doing that. And then when you get to college, you may go into a big lecture and you don't get to monopolize the conversation anymore. It's a different way of learning. The studying is different, especially for engineering school. Studying in high school is, you read the book. Studying engineering school is doing a bunch of practice problems. So it's just, this is a recurring theme here, but I'll keep it short and say that it's much more directly proportional to effort than it is to your intellect. So I was good in high school. You coasted by. You probably had bad habits. Engineering school, different level of commitment and dedication involved in doing that. All right, next one. Is college physics similar to AP physics mechanics or way harder? I heard that AP physics mechanics is calculus based. Is calculus based physics way much harder than algebra based one because it has the same learning topics? I thought it was similar. Okay, yeah, there is a calculus-based AP Physics. That's AP Physics C, and there's the mechanics and electricity and magnetism exams. And there's also AP Physics B, which is algebra-based. So, hey guys, Daniel here with a little bit of a correction to this video. After recording this video, I learned that AP Physics B has actually been discontinued and replaced with AP Physics 1 and 2, which are still algebra-based. In this case, this person is referring to AP Physics Mechanics, which is AP Physics C Mechanics, so it is calculus-based. But my advice with regards to avoiding AP Physics 1 and 2, which are the new replacements for AP Physics B, Physics, and Electromagnetism, still stands. So please keep that in mind when listening to this episode. One thing that if you're considering taking AP Physics and you're in high school, most engineering schools that I know of, they won't let you transfer in your AP Physics B, algebra-based physics, to replace college physics as a requirement to fulfill your engineering major. You might be able to transfer it in as general physics credits, but they will not transfer in. They will require you to take calculus-based physics. I'm not sure if that's an ABET requirement or if that's just a general university requirement. I guess I could look it up. I'm not going to look that one up. I've done a lot of looking up today. But but yeah, that's just a little factoid there. So let's do the comparison between algebra-based physics and college-based physics, which will be calculus-based physics. Algebra-based physics, you're going to have a bunch of equations, general concepts that are explained to you. But again, you're going to be using different equations for velocity and then relating the velocity to position and that kind of stuff. This is for physics mechanics, for example. There are equation sets that you use to do the algebra to solve for the solve for position or velocity or acceleration, that kind of stuff. Calculus-based physics is where you understand in physics, algebra-based physics, you are explained that velocity is the rate of change of position and acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. That's generally explained to you. In calculus-based physics, you understand that calculus actually explains how they're related, and then you use the calculus to determine the relationships between them. And then you do a bunch of other stuff. I'm just sticking to the basics of position, velocity, acceleration. So in fact, I actually found that calculus-based physics was probably actually a little bit easier than my algebra-based physics. I took AP Physics C for mechanics in high school. And I think that calculus-based physics for what you'll take in engineering school is actually easier than algebra-based because you understand the relationships between things. You don't have to memorize the equations. You just know how they're related. So I found that easier. But you will find it difficult if you don't understand calculus, and it may be more challenging to you if you're taking calculus for the first time along with taking your physics. So that's how they're different. They're not necessarily one is not necessarily harder than the others. Again, I found the algebra-based physics to actually be more challenging than the calculus-based physics, but your mileage may vary. Let's see what everybody else in the smart world of engineering students said about this. Depends on the school and the teacher 100%. Difficulty can seriously range from 1 to 10 on just about any class. Oh, this is a great analogy. Think of it this way. Algebra-based physics is like competing in a baking competition where you get to use a cookbook or recipe to guide you, aka the equations. Calc-based is just you, the kitchen, and the ingredients. The former will certainly help you prepare for the latter. The process and the goal is identical, but it's a different ballgame when you don't have a blueprint to follow. And there's one more reply. Who is it from? Oh, it's from me. A great analogy. Instead of a cookbook, you feel your way around the kitchen using the principles of calculus. Exactly. So they're different. They're not the same. But if you did well in algebra-based physics and you're doing okay in calculus, then you'll probably do well in calculus-based physics that you take in college. All right. The next question is deleted by the user. So let me read the question for us. Just saw my school is ABET accredited in general engineering, not mechanical engineering. I'm kind of worried. Hi, I just saw that my school has general engineering accreditation, but not mechanical engineering. What does it mean? Will it impact me? It's marked as engineering physics, applied physics. Okay, so here's what I do in your situation. If you're not in a position to transfer, then just make sure you're taking the engineering major that is ABET accredited and tailor your electives towards mechanical engineering. And then you can say, well, I took, my school offers mechanical engineering. I took all the courses that the mechanical engineering students offer, and my degree is ABET accredited. Now, the other thing is that if your school is accredited for one program and they do have a mechanical engineering program, the other thing this is a little bit more risky, but you can also ask, hey, you can speak to the chair of your department. Hey, is the school pursuing the accreditation process for mechanical engineering? If they say, yes, we are going to, but we don't know when yet, that's scary. If they say, yes, we are pursuing it, we're in the process of pursuing it, this is how far we are along in the process, this is when we expect to be ABET accredited, then that's less scary, especially if that then would apply to you and say that your degree would be accredited. It's risky, but less scary than not knowing at all. And even less scary than never ever planning to pursue ABET accreditation. I definitely, especially if you're in the States, would not pursue an engineering degree that is not ABET accredited. There's no reason to do that. You're just putting yourself behind the 8 ball for no reason. Why make your life more difficult ABET accreditation is one of the most basic requirements for many companies for employing engineers in the US, and the ones that don't require it probably are either not going to hire you for an engineering role, which, I mean, probably why you're getting an engineering degree, because you want to do engineering, or they know that you're going to not be ABET accredited and they might try to pay you less because of it. So, something to keep in mind. The other thing you should consider doing is, if you really want to get a mechanical engineering major, consider transferring. Just the bottom line is, don't put yourself in a position where you're ending up graduating with a degree that's not ABET accredited and has no path to becoming ABET accredited. Don't do it. Don't do it. Not worth it. It is not worth it. So yeah, how will it impact you? You need to make your own. It's not about how it will impact you. It's, okay, this is the situation. I'm going to put myself in a situation where I'm graduating with an ABET accredited degree. Don't say, oh no, this is happening to me. Life happens. Things happen. But you have the opportunity in this case to take action. You've identified it, so take action. Avoid the non-ABET accredited degree. All right. Next question is working in defense and ethics. I graduated a little over a year ago. I've been working a job I hate. I don't like the work, computer engineering, or the company, or the city that I'm in. Definitely having some mental health problems and have been searching for a job for months, shooting for software engineering. I went to a career fair and was cold called by a company. My resume was in the database for the fair. They had set up an interview with me, forgot to add me to the invite, and were calling and asking where I was. I panicked and assumed I forgot something, so I went to the interview. Kind of winged the interview. Hadn't heard of the company before. I found out after that they're a major defense contractor. Okay, hadn't heard of them? Major defense contractor? That's okay. There's a lot of companies that do big things that you never heard of. When I got an offer, I immediately turned away from the idea. I never wanted to work for this kind of place. I go online and people say you'll have blood on your hands if you do. However, everyone close to me knows how much I'm struggling, told me I should take it. It's a development program and is located in a major city. I really had to think about it. I spoke to someone who works at the specific office I'd be working at, and I was informed that they work on secure communications like encryption and radios. This made me feel a bit better. Could I justify working for a company like this if I'm not making those weapons and destructive equipment? I guess one could argue that encryptors are a good thing, that cybersecurity is a huge issue and we need these protections. However, I think these technologies are primarily used by the military and maybe some other branches of government. Is this justified? I know the world is not black and white, but I'm feeling very conflicted about this. Yeah, I can totally relate to you. I was in a similar situation. So if you don't know this about me, my father worked for a defense contractor. That's the income that my father made working for a defense contractor. He worked on missile systems. That income was the income that allowed me to have a very stable childhood and a stable life, and I'm very grateful for that. And my dad and I have talked a lot actually about the ethics of working for a defense contractor, and he said that it's your personal decision that you can make for yourself, and there's a lot of great people that work for defense contractors, and I agree with that. I personally, I did apply. I didn't write it off entirely, but it definitely wasn't my priority. I wasn't necessarily excited about working for defense contractors. Some people get really excited about working for national defense. I wasn't really that excited about it. But in the end, I did realize that while the work that I'm doing in the industry that I'm in is not the most important thing to me, the most important thing is the nature of my role and the people I'm working with. I do enjoy working on projects that relate to my values. I do. I'm working on an offshore wind farm study right now. I've spent the last year pursuing renewable energy projects as my main priority. So for me, that's something I'm really passionate about, and I'm very proud to talk about working in the energy transition. That's something that is a point of pride for me. I am so proud to be working in the energy transition. It is something that I am proud of. And it does make it a little bit easier for me to go to work every day. So that is a thing. That is a thing. In your case, secure communication, cybersecurity, I'd say that that's a noble cause. But again, it's very personal. It's a personal thing to you. If you can rationalize it, which if I were in your situation, I could rationalize what you're talking about. I personally wouldn't. Again, I wouldn't prefer to work for a defense contractor making missiles. They're going to explode people. But at the same time, I think that cybersecurity. I personally think that cybersecurity is a big deal, and anything to protect my own and my neighbors and my country's national security in a way that is not physically harmful, I would really feel good about working in. And if you feel good about it, and you feel really good about it, and your friends are encouraging you to do it, and also the job is in a city where you can be close to your friends, and it's a good rotational program that will allow you to grow as an engineer, and if it's a program that will allow you to maybe live in a place where you can have better mental health, across the board, this sounds like a really good opportunity for you. So I would encourage you not to write it off just because it's working for a defense contractor, especially if you can wrap your head around the nature of the work that you'd be working on. So that's what I'd say in your situation. I'd say definitely pursue it. No reason not to, in my opinion. But again, it's very personal. It is a personal decision, and nobody else can tell you what you should or shouldn't do. Sounds like you've gotten some great advice, and I think you know what decision you want to make, and I think you should feel okay about making the decision. You're right. The world is not black and white. We have to operate in the gray sometimes. So operate in the gray. Do what's best for you, especially if it's better pay and everything too. Next question. Just turned down an offer for a 20% raise. Okay. I've been interviewing with this company for an entry level certified engineer position with 0 to 5 years of experience, which I have applicable 2 years of experience. I thought this would be a great opportunity since they listed out the salary range for each individual city that you could apply for, and the range was a 25 to 50% range. I figured I would get a 35% range with my experience, 35% raise. Sorry, the range was a 25 to 50% raise from my current salary, and I figured I would get a 35% raise with my experience 2 out of 5 years. Okay, I see your math. Except they don't know what you currently make, so all right. That 2 out of 5, you say 35% is 2/5 of 25 to 50%. Again, they don't know what you're making, but okay, carry on. I applied for a city across the country. I had my reasons for that specific city and had several great interviews. I had great repertoire with the managers, great experience. Recruiter interactions went well. When they told me on the last interview they were getting ready to send me an offer, I started planning out on how to move there. The problem started when I asked the recruiter to confirm the salary range just before the second interview. She said it was accurate, but the upper range was another higher certified engineer, PE, and more years of experience. I thought that was weird since they listed the level in the job title, but I told her my expectations, and she said she could do what she could do. Okay, first off, yeah, 5 years, you'd expect the engineer to have a PE. You have 2 years, you don't have a PE. So 0 to 5 years includes engineers with 4 years of experience that have PEs. So it makes perfect sense that higher salary would be applicable to somebody with a PE. And that's good for you because whenever you get your PE, you can say, oh, I qualify for that. All right. Again, you have 2 years of experience. I will say, let me continue reading and I'll answer the question. Turns out they offered below the salary range. Interesting. Okay. They offered below the salary range, and I have the rest of it over here, due to internal team equity and not wanting to ruffle feathers in the existing team. It still would have been a 20% range, but I really didn't have a lot of faith in the company anymore. Having 2 years of experience in their specific position they told me was hard to fill, only to get offered under the confirmed salary range, left me with a sour taste in my mouth that won't have me moving across the country, trusting that they're a good employer. Do you think I was wrong in turning this down? I didn't want to risk moving with a company like that, and I'm currently using the offer for salary negotiations with my current company for maybe a 10 to 11% range. Yeah, I don't blame you for turning that down. I think that I see. I thought this was going to, like, they offered me like in the 20% at the bottom of the range. If they offered you at the bottom of the range, I'd say, dude, here's the deal. You have 2 years experience. In my opinion, there's a big difference between a PE with 4 to 5 years experience and a fresher with 2 years of experience. There's also a big difference between somebody with 2 years and 0 years of experience. That's really hard to hire into that range. I think that maybe they need to do a better job of setting up their ranges. But here's the deal. They posted a range, they offered below the range, and you met the qualifications, had good interviews. Yeah, that would leave a sour taste in my mouth as well. I agree with your position of not trusting them, getting wigged out by them, and choosing not to go work for them. So yeah, that's I don't mind that decision at all. I think that was a good call on your part. Let's see if everybody agrees with me. Nope, good call. They likely woefully underpay. MEP engineering in the AEC industry? No, this one's upstream. Is for utility power distribution. Yeah, I I think that's a good call. I mean, they have a range. They mentioned they had trouble filling it, and then they offered you below the range because it would ruffle feathers. That means that they're underpaying people they're currently paying. So yeah, sounds like they need to post a different range. Uh, that or they need to pay you what you're within the range, and then promote the people within the range. Next question. EIT seeking advice on next position. Hello, everyone. I'm currently an EIT with about 1 year of experience. I've been working on structural plans and calculations for residential projects, but I feel like there's a huge gap in my field experience. I like to start applying to new positions at the 1 year mark since I'm only earning $20.75 an hour. Wow. And have only visited a couple sites during this first year. Which positions would you recommend looking into to gain more field experience? I don't mind taking a position that doesn't count towards the PE requirements as long as it will help me become a better designer in the future. I should have mentioned that I have had back and head injuries in the past, so I typically try to avoid jobs that are very physically demanding. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. P.S. My goal is to gain a broader understanding of structural engineering concepts and practices. While I have really enjoyed working with this residential company, I'd like to also see how buildings are constructed in other industries. Cool. All right. So I have a couple jobs. So maybe like a field engineer for a construction company, a project engineer for a construction company. That would be a pretty good role for you, like a turner or, somebody of that, a big, high caliber, big name recognition construction firm, field engineer. This is a company that's recognizable on your resume, that kind of thing. Another thing you could do is you could become a planner, though that's kind of going pretty far into construction and making yourself be in a position where you are really involved with the construction process and you're kind of developing a very niche and specific skill set. But planners are the ones that work with the superintendents out in the field to gather engineering work packages and ensure that equipment's on site to actually have things get constructed out in the field. So that's something you could do as well. They hire engineers to do that. What I'd actually recommend doing in your situation, I think, is not maybe going so I guess so far in the other direction. Maybe just apply for a job with another engineering firm that has a lot of local field work, and that's what I'd say. So a firm with an office that does a lot of local work. It sounds like you're kind of already working for one, but another one, a different one, and just try to suss them out through the interview process. But you're definitely underpaid. $20.75 is not equitable pay for a person with an engineering degree. Hey Siri, what's $20.75 an hour times 40 times 52? So that is $43,000 annual salary. Now that's about half of what an entry level engineering, a little more than half, or about half, or for some people's opinion, less than half of what an entry level engineering graduate should be making. So yeah, definitely leave that company. I would just say, just find a different company that has more work, more work to do, so they can afford to pay you more, and more local projects that you can go visit. But there are other options if you want to go the hard into the construction route. I'd say that it's nice that you want to see things going up in the field. Not a lot of engineers want to do that or understand that seeing how things go up in the field is how you become a better engineer. Knowing how things are built, how things come together, means that you can design things that are buildable, and you'll be very liked by your superintendents and your construction managers whenever you design things that way. So that's you have the right head on your shoulders, you have the right thing in mind. That is a good thing to think about. Last question. How does the civil engineering world feel about students who graduate with a civil engineering degree and refuse or cannot pass the FE but still advance in the company like the rest of the engineers who took and passed the FE and PE? Good question. So if they're advancing as engineers, like design engineers, I would feel that yeah, they can still advance in the company. They can still get experience and do things, but they're probably not going to advance with as much pay because I know that many contracts are set up that you can't having a PE is a requirement to reach certain billing rate classifications. So this person's earning potential is going to be suppressed. Also, though, there are non-design engineering ways that people can advance in a company. There's operations. There's what I do. I'm a commercial manager. I passed my FE. I haven't taken the PE exam yet. Verdict's still out on whether or not I'll actually ever take the PE exam and become a PE. But yeah, I think it just depends. If they're advancing as a design engineer, then I think they're just hurting themselves more than anything. They're not going to make as much money, and they're not going to be able to be sold. Their hours are not going to be able to be sold for as much money to the clients. And if they're not moving in in a design role and they're moving in operations, then I don't care. It doesn't matter. There's plenty of ways to advance throughout a company that are not directly proportional to what degree, what certifications you have that are more related to what you do with your job. So it just depends on the situation. I don't think that anybody should be looking at me and my company and say that I shouldn't be able to make more money and get promoted at all just because I don't have a PE and I'm working for an engineering firm. I think that I don't think that anybody thinks that. I think they will recognize what I do and the skill that I have and the value that I bring is not directly proportional to having a PE. So I think that it just depends on what you're talking about here. So yeah, it's the big thing for me is, and I think the big thing for you should be is that's really not your thing to worry about. There's other people that deal with pay, promotions, titles, hiring people. There's leaders in your company that are responsible for making decisions about what people make and what they do. And unless you're in direct competition with somebody for role, but even then, you really shouldn't really care about what other people are making and what other people are doing with their jobs other than the fact that they're impacting you and your project. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I don't have too much to feel about it because it's a very nuanced situation. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Engineering Success Podcast. If you liked it, please share it with somebody. Give me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I'll make sure to read it out at the beginning of the next show. Please do consider becoming a top tier supporter. It looks like Spotify is disabling the opportunity to do listener support directly through Spotify at the end of this year. So I'll be migrating over to Patreon for that. But I already have a Patreon. You can find the information for that in the description box below. Please consider supporting the podcast. Even if you are a company and you want to have the cheapest advertisement ever, for $10 a month, I will say your company name at the beginning of the podcast. So do consider supporting the podcast in that way. I appreciate you guys so much for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Now I'm not complaining, my thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in lameness. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put